picture a massive control panel right in front of you.
Okay.
And right in the center is this heavy red button.
Right.
Now, if you press it, your absolute worst enemy, I mean, the person actively, relentlessly trying to ruin your life, is instantly neutralized.
Wow.
The threat is just gone. But before we figure out if you should press it, I want to pause and offer a genuine divine blessing for your day and for your entire week ahead.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, may you find clarity, peace, and, unshakable purpose in whatever battles you are facing right now.
Absolutely.
Because today we are looking at a man who literally had his finger hovering over that exact button. We are so glad you're joining us for this deep dive.
It's such a fascinating scenario to unpack with you.
It really is.
And the source material today is incredibly rich. We're pulling from the texts and the extensive study notes of the Holman and NAA study Bibles.
Right.
Specifically zeroing in on this really pivotal ancient narrative found in 1 Samuel chapter 24.
Yeah, so what we're looking at here is essentially a masterclass in power dynamics, authoritarian paranoia, and really the ultimate test of restraint.
Definitely.
Our mission today for this deep dive is to explore exactly what happens when you have your greatest enemy completely at your mercy.
Right there in front of you.
Exactly. And you make the active, grueling choice to just step away from that control panel.
Yeah, and to really understand the weight of that choice, we first have to, establish the severe imbalance of power here.
Right. Lay out the scene for us.
So the texts introduce us to King Saul. And the context of his mindset is critical.
Yeah.
He has just returned from a really grueling military campaign against the Philistines.
Okay. So he's exhausted.
You'd think so, right?
Yeah.
But he doesn't rest. He doesn't allow his army to recover at all.
Wow.
Yeah. He immediately pivots, conscripts 3,000 elite, specially chosen soldiers, and marches them straight into the brutal, rocky desert of En-Gedi.
And the text specifically notes they are searching near the crags of the wild goats, right?
Yes, exactly.
Which, that is harsh, unforgiving terrain.
Very.
And Saul is deploying this massive state-level military force for one single objective, which is to hunt down one single man, David.
Right. And the study notes from our sources really highlight that number 3,000 chosen men.
Why is that specific number so important?
Because it's vital for understanding Saul's mental state. At this point in the history, David is on the run with this, ragtag militia of roughly 600 men.
Okay, so 600 versus 3,000.
Exactly. Saul is bringing a highly trained state force that is 5 times larger.
Wow.
This isn't just a standard pursuit. It is massive, calculated overkill.
Yeah, that paints a picture of a leader just totally consumed by intense paranoia.
Completely consumed.
Right.
He is willing to drain state resources just to crush a perceived personal rival.
And the logistics of that are just terrifying. You have an army of 3,000 sweeping a barren desert.
Yeah.
Which, that sets up one of the most suspenseful moments in all of ancient literature.
Oh, absolutely.
So Saul is out in this blazing, hot, rocky environment, and he needs to, as the ancient text politely phrases it, cover his feet.
Right, the ancient euphemism.
Yeah, he basically needs to relieve himself.
Just a completely mundane biological necessity. So he finds a cave to get out of the sun and just have some privacy.
But out of all the caves in the massive desert of En-Gedi,
Yeah, out of all of them.
he walks into the exact cavern where David and his 600 men are hiding.
It's unbelievable.
Just imagine the sheer terror and the suffocating silence required in that moment. You have hundreds of men sitting in the pitch black at the very back of the cavern.
Just holding their breath?
Right. And Saul walks in from the glaring desert sun, so his eyes haven't even adjusted to the dark yet.
You can't see a thing.
His armor is likely unfastened or totally removed. He is utterly defenseless and completely blind to the fact that an entire militia is watching his every move.
And David's men, they immediately see this as divine intervention.
How could you not?
Right. They whisper to David, "This is the day. God has delivered your enemy right into your hands to do with him whatever seems good to you."
Right.
Because from their perspective, the heavens have just magically aligned to end all their suffering.
Okay, but I have to challenge David's hesitation here, though.
Okay, go for it.
Because if a paranoid, heavily armed state actor is actively hunting you with essentially a black ops team,
Yeah.
neutralizing the threat isn't just a fun opportunity, it is basic survival.
That's a fair point.
Think about a modern whistleblower hiding from a notoriously corrupt powerful executive, right?
Okay, yeah.
And this executive has weaponized a massive corporate legal team just to destroy the whistleblower's life.
Sure.
If you suddenly get your hands on the definitive proof like the server logs that will permanently end that executive's career and stop the harassment,
Yeah.
you leak it.
You don't even hesitate.
Right. You don't pause to ponder the ethics of their downfall. You defend yourself. So why is David's situation framed as this big moral test rather than just a straightforward tactical victory?
Well, it's because for David, the conflict isn't just horizontal,
What do you mean by horizontal?
like man versus man. It's vertical too. Tactically speaking, his men are absolutely right.
Right. It ends the threat.
Assassinating Saul ends the starvation, the hiding, all those miserable wilderness years. But the study notes really dive into the theology of the time here.
Okay.
David operates under a strict belief in divine providence and timing. To strike down the king right then and there is to claim that God is either incapable of handling Saul or just too slow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, taking Saul's life in the shadows of a cave would be seizing power on human terms, not divine terms.
So relying on violence here would basically prove that David is just as, ruthlessly pragmatic as Saul.
Precisely. If he kills his way to the throne, he becomes the very tyrant he is currently hiding from.
Man, that reframes the tension completely.
It really does.
So, David silently gets up in the dark. He approaches the defenseless king. But instead of drawing a sword, he takes out a knife for a completely different purpose.
Yeah.
He creeps up and silently cuts off the corner of Saul's robe without Saul noticing a single thing.
He executes this flawlessly, but the text tells us something remarkable happens almost instantly.
What happens?
Immediately after cutting the fabric, David is struck with intense remorse. The Hebrew phrasing literally translates to his heart striking him.
Really?
Yes, he feels this deep, agonizing guilt over doing this.
See, that reaction feels wildly disproportionate to me.
How so?
He just spared the man who literally wants to murder him.
True.
It's like sneaking into a boardroom and instead of ruining that corrupt executive we mentioned earlier, you just snip off the bottom of their expensive silk tie to prove you were there.
Right.
It sends a message, right? I was close enough to destroy you, but I chose not to. Why on earth is David having a full-blown panic attack over sending a nonviolent message? To modern ears, it definitely just sounds like a wardrobe malfunction.
Yeah.
But we have to look at the cultural and spiritual context that's provided in the study notes. In the ancient Near East, a king's robe, specifically the hem or the corner of it, was not just clothing.
Okay.
It was the literal, physical extension of his identity, his royal authority, and his kingdom.
Really? Like a symbol of the throne itself.
Exactly. Legal transactions were sometimes even sealed by pressing the hem of a garment into clay. So by severing the corner of Saul's robe, David wasn't just ruining a nice piece of fabric.
He was symbolically attacking the throne.
Yes, it was effectively a symbolic coup. He was tearing the kingdom away from Saul with his own hands. And furthermore, David recognizes Saul as the Lord's anointed.
Even though Saul was acting like a monster.
Exactly. Now, the study Bibles do clarify a crucial theological nuance here. Saul had already lost God's presence due to his repeated disobedience.
Right.
God had already moved on and had actively chosen David.
But Saul is still physically occupying the office of king.
Oh.
Exactly. He holds the position. And David's intense guilt stems from his realization that even a symbolic strike against the anointed king is a massive violation of God's timing.
Wow.
He realizes he crossed a line by taking matters into his own hands, so he immediately shuts down his men, strictly forbidding them from attacking Saul.
He basically acts as a human shield in the dark for the guy who is trying to eradicate him.
Yes, he does.
Which means they just have to sit there in the dark while Saul, finishes his business and walks out of the cave completely unharmed.
Yeah.
Now, David could have just left it at that, right? He survived.
He could have.
But staying in the shadows doesn't actually solve his Saul problem. To actually end the conflict, David does something that seems, frankly, borderline suicidal.
It's incredibly risky.
He turns a secret act of radical mercy into a highly public confrontation. He actually steps out of the cave directly into the blinding daylight.
He exposes his position entirely to a king who literally has 3,000 elite soldiers waiting just down the mountain.
Yeah, and he shouts out, "My lord, the king!" And then, despite being the victim of this massive, unjustified, state-sponsored manhunt, David bows with his face entirely to the ground.
Right.
He shows immense, shocking respect to his abuser.
Because he recognizes the authority of the office, even if the man holding it is deeply flawed.
Mhm.
And that is the exact moment he presents the evidence.
He holds up the severed corner of the robe.
Yeah,
It is the ultimate, undeniable receipt, and he challenges Saul. He asks why the king listens to all these rumors that David is trying to ruin him.
right. The proof is right there.
David basically says, look at this fabric in my hand. I was close enough to take your life, but my hand spared you. I have no malice. I have no rebellion.
And he anchors this entire defense in an ancient proverb, which is so interesting. David tells Saul, out of the wicked comes forth wickedness.
I mean, the logic there is completely bulletproof.
Yeah, how so?
If you want to know if someone is a monster, just look at what they do when they actually have the power to act like one.
That's spot on. It completely dismantles Saul's entire narrative. David is saying, if I were truly the treasonous traitor you claim I am, I would have committed the treason when I had the perfect, uninterrupted opportunity inside that very cave. The absence of a wicked deed proves the absence of a wicked heart.
But I want to analyze how David speaks about himself during this confrontation, because
Okay.
it feels really jarring to me. While he's holding this undeniable proof of his own honor and restraint, he starts aggressively degrading himself.
Oh, right.
He asks Saul, after whom has the king of Israel come out? After whom do you pursue? And then David actually refers to himself as a dead dog and a flea.
Yeah, strong words.
Right. This is a brilliant tactician, a renowned warrior. Why is he hurling these awful insults at himself in front of the enemy?
Well, it's actually a brilliant piece of psychological framing. David is not suffering from, imposter syndrome here.
Okay, good to know.
He is utilizing a highly effective asymmetrical rhetorical tactic.
What does that mean?
By labeling himself a dead dog and a flea, which are like the most insignificant, bothersome, yet harmless things imaginable, he is holding up a mirror to Saul's paranoia. He is exposing the sheer absurdity of the king's military campaign.
Oh, so he's highlighting the massive waste of state resources.
Exactly.
Think about a modern equivalent. It would be like a massive multinational tech conglomerate deploying a team of expensive corporate lawyers and private investigators to relentlessly crush an open source hobbyist working out of a garage.
That's a perfect comparison.
The hobbyist doesn't try to look tough. They intentionally highlight their own insignificance to expose the conglomerate as weak, terrified, and just utterly delusional.
That captures the dynamic perfectly. The aggressor looks ridiculous when the target simply refuses to play the role of the monstrous threat.
Wow.
David basically strips away the grand, heroic narrative that Saul has built up in his own head. Saul has convinced himself he is fighting this epic war for the survival of the kingdom, and David just points out that the king is out in the desert chasing a flea.
That is so smart. So how does an authoritarian leader completely consumed by paranoia respond when presented with undeniable proof of his own absurdity, coupled with the life-saving mercy of his sworn enemy?
It completely shatters him. The text describes a massive psychological reversal.
Saul hears David call him my father. He recognizes the voice and he just breaks down and weeps loudly.
Yeah.
In this stunning moment of clarity, Saul openly confesses to David, "You are more righteous than I, for you have repaid me good, whereas I have repaid you evil."
It's a huge admission.
He explicitly acknowledges that he was handed over in that cave, and David spared him.
And this leads to a monumental shift that our study texts really emphasize. Saul finally vocalizes the reality he has been fiercely fighting against for years.
What does he say?
He says, "Now I know for certain that you shall surely be king, and that the kingdom of Israel shall be established in your hand."
The denial just completely collapses.
It does. Prior to this, Saul had, suspicions. He had deep fears about God's plan. But encountering this level of radical mercy he knows he does not deserve and would never, ever grant to David, forces him to admit the truth out loud.
Yeah.
The kingdom will belong to David.
Which immediately prompts Saul to beg David for a vow. He asks David to swear by the Lord not to wipe out his descendants or erase his name from his father's house.
And we really need to dive into the study notes regarding ancient Near Eastern culture to fully grasp the sheer terror driving Saul's requests here.
Okay, let's hear it.
In antiquity, legacy and lineage were absolutely everything. It was standard, completely expected practice for a new, subsequent king to systematically eradicate the entire family of their predecessor.
Just to eliminate any potential rival claims to the throne down the line, right?
Yes, but it went even deeper than just political security. In the ancient mindset, to wipe out a family line was to literally erase a person's name from history.
Wow.
It impacted their legacy and their very existence in the memory of the nation. It was the ultimate eradication. So Saul knows the brutal mechanics of how kingdoms change hands, and he is terrified that David will apply the standard political playbook to his bloodline.
So David swears the oath. He promises not to wipe out Saul's family. And after this incredibly intense, tearful reconciliation, Saul goes home.
Right.
But here is the detail that is so revealing about David's emotional intelligence. David doesn't go back to the palace with Saul.
No, he doesn't.
The text explicitly points out that David and his men head up to a secure place, a stronghold.
He maintains physical and geographical distance.
Exactly. He sets a brilliant, impenetrable boundary. I mean, he forgives Saul, he spares his life, he vows to protect his legacy, but he fundamentally does not trust him.
Right.
It's a very sophisticated way of handling a toxic relationship.
It really is.
Imagine navigating a modern business dispute where you have a major, tear-filled breakthrough with a business partner who has repeatedly tried to sabotage your career. You can accept their apology, you can forgive them, you can genuinely wish them the best, but you still demand everything in writing, and you absolutely do not give them the keys to your house.
Exactly, because a single moment of emotional clarity does not rewire a lifetime of behavioral patterns.
You protect yourself because you understand their history. David knows that Saul's tears are likely genuine in the emotion of the moment, but tears do not cure underlying paranoia.
No, they don't. Which brings up a really fascinating dynamic about the nature of mercy itself. And this is the final thought I want to leave you, the listener, with today, drawing from the depths of these texts.
Okay, let's hear it.
We often look at David's restraint in the cave purely as a moral victory. You know, a man overcoming his own internal desire for revenge. But consider the strategic brilliance of what David accomplished by not pressing that red button.
You mean beyond just keeping his hands clean?
Exactly. What happens when the person you spare doesn't actually change? David likely knew Saul would eventually come after him again. But by stepping out of that cave and showing the cut robe, David wasn't just speaking to Saul.
Who was he speaking to?
He was speaking to the 3,000 elite soldiers standing right behind Saul.
Oh, wow. That is profound. He was performing in front of the entire state military.
Yes. By sparing the king, David won the moral high ground in front of the very army he would one day need to lead. He proved to Saul's own men that he was not the monster their king claimed he was.
That's incredible.
If David had assassinated Saul in the dark, those 3,000 soldiers would have hunted him to the ends of the earth to avenge their king. But by wielding mercy instead of a sword, David planted a massive seed of doubt in the minds of the military.
Right.
He showed them what true, restrained leadership looked like.
It challenges us to reconsider how we handle conflict. We often think of mercy as this passive, defensive moral stance. But what if radical restraint is actually the most potent, forward-looking strategy you can deploy? That's a great question.
It forces us to ask, are you just trying to win the battle in the cave today? Or are you trying to win the hearts of the people who will build your tomorrow?
Man, that completely flips the script.
Yeah.
Mercy isn't just about sparing the other person. It's about laying a foundation for your own future that isn't built on scorched earth.
Exactly.
It is an incredibly powerful concept to carry forward. Well, that wraps up our exploration for today. To everyone listening, we are so grateful you took this time to dive into these ancient yet highly practical texts with us. As we close, I want to say goodbye by declaring that God blesses all the listeners. May you walk out this week with wisdom, setting healthy boundaries, and carrying the profound strategic strength of restraint. Until our next deep dive, take care.